Alright. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we're reading from the beautiful Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, text number 22. Korshakti, would you do the Sanskrit?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Thank you.
Let me do mine. Open here. Manishitanu Bhavo.
Oh, you have to do the whole line.
Yam.
Bhavoyam.
Manishitanu Bhavoyam.
Manishitana Bhavoyam.
Mama Lokavalokanam.
Mama Lokavalokanam.
Yad upasrutya rahasi. Chakarta paramam tapa.
Paramam Tapa.
Manishitanu bhavoyam.
Manishitanu Bhavoyam.
Mamaloka valokanam.
Lokanam.
Yadupasrutya rahasi.
Yadupasrutaya rasi.
Chakarta paramam tapa.
Chakarta Paramam Tapa.
Manishitanu bhavoyam.
Manishitana Bhavoyam.
Mamaloka valokanam.
Mamalakalokanam.
Yad upasrutya rahasi.
Yadupasrutara rasi.
Chakarta paramam tapa. Chant please.
Manishitana Bhavoyam.
Manishitana Bhavoyam.
Mamalokavalokanam.
Mamalokavalokanam.
Yadupasrutya rahasi.
Yadupasrutaya rasi.
Chakarta paramam tapa.
Chakarta Paramam Tapa. Anyone else?
Manishitana Bhavoyam.
Manishitana Bhavoyam.
Mamalokavalokanam.
Mamalokavalokanam.
Yadupasrutya rahasi.
Yadupasrutaya rasi.
Chakarta paramam tapa.
Chakarta Paramam Tapa. Manishitana Bhavoyam. Mamalokavalokanam. Yadupasrutya Chakarta Paramam Tapa. Manishita.
Manishita.
Ingenuity.
Ingenuity.
Anubhava.
Anubhava.
Perception.
Perception.
Ayam.
Ayam.
This.
This.
Mama.
Mama.
My.
My.
Loka.
Loka.
Abode.
Abode.
Avalokanam.
Avalokanam.
Seen by actual experience.
Seen by actual experience.
Yat.
Yeah.
Because.
Because.
Upasrutya.
Upasrutya.
Hearing.
Hearing.
Rahasi.
Rahasi.
In great penance.
In great penance.
Chakrata.
Chakrata.
Having performed.
Having performed.
Paramam.
Param.
Highest.
Highest.
Tapa.
Tapa.
Penance.
Penance.
Translation. The highest perfectional ingenuity is the personal perception of my abodes, and this has been possible because of your submissive attitude in the performance of severe penance according to my order. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The highest perfectional stage of life is known is to know the Lord by actual perception, by the grace of the Lord. This can be ascertained by everyone who is willing to discharge the act of devotional service to the Lord, as enjoined in the revealed scriptures that are standard and accepted by bona fide acharyas, spiritual masters. For example, the Bhagavad Gita is the approved Vedic literature accepted by all of the great acharyas, such as Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhava, Chaitanya, Vishwanath, Baladev, Siddhanta Saraswati, and many others. In that Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, asks that one always be mindful of him, always be his devotee, always worship him, and always bow down before him. And by doing so, one is sure to go back home, back to Godhead, without any doubt. In other places also, the same order is there, that one give up all other engagements and fully surrender unto the Lord, without hesitation. And the Lord will give such a devotee all protection. These are the secrets of attaining the highest perfectional stage. Lord Brahma exactly followed these principles without any superiority complex. And thus he attained the highest perfectional stage of experiencing the abode of the Lord. And the Lord himself with all of his paraphernalia. Impersonal realization of the effulgence of the Lord's body is not the highest perfectional stage, nor is the stage of Paramatma realization. The word manisita is significant. Everyone is falsely or factually proud of his so-called learning, but the Lord says that the highest perfectional stage of learning is to know him and his abode, devoid of illusion. Quite a beautiful verse and purport. So, Magana Timrandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We're born in the darkness of ignorance, but our spiritual masters are kindly opening our eyes with their torchlight of knowledge, so we offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such spiritual masters. So, Lord Brahma has become a fortunate soul. He's gotten the mercy of the Lord. He's attracted the Lord, right? Not a common thing. But how did that happen? There was the Lord, and out of his navel there came a lotus flower, right? And Lord Brahma came out of that lotus flower. But he had no idea where he was or what was going on. And he was actually bewildered. So it said that he searched the whole area. And it says that's how he developed his forehead. But he still couldn't find anything. And then he started going down the lotus stem, right? And he was going and going and going, and he found nothing. And he was just so bewildered, and he came back up again. And then he decided that he would just meditate. Somehow or other he knew to meditate. And so he started meditating on the Lord. And it says that after 100 years of meditation, the Lord appeared to him in his heart. And he could see the Lord, and the Lord with his paraphernalia and his abode. And so he began to pray. And the prayers, what the Lord Brahma prayed at that time are just, we can't even within our biggest capacity think like that. The prayers are, I was listening to someone talk about Radhanath Swami yesterday and what he has presented to the world. And they use the term unworldly. It's like the world we're in is just like so base and so low, and we're so limited. And our ability and what we see and what we think. But when these great souls come our way, they open up a whole other world to us that's unworldly from what we're used to. So Lord Brahma's prayers were, to me, like unworldly. They're actually quite long. I did copy them, but then I decided because they were so long. And he's saying basically that, oh my Lord, the people of the world are embarrassed. Some of these are quotes. Are embarrassed by all material anxieties. They are always afraid. Isn't it true? We approach a deer, we want to make it our friend, and immediately they run away. Or the birds, you're feeding the birds and you step out and they're just like all flying away. Or the cockroach, you come out at night and the cockroach sees you and he's like out of there. You know, he's just like hiding because they're afraid. Everyone has that fear. I woke up this morning and my blood pressure was like really high. I think I'd forgotten to take a blood pressure pill last night. And immediately it was like, I became afraid. It's like, oh, what's going to happen now? What do I do? You know, it's like that fear. It's not common for everyone. So Brahma's praying. He said that the people of the world are embarrassed by all material anxieties. They're always afraid. They always try to protect their wealth, their body, their friends. They are filled with lamentation and unlawful desires and paraphernalia. And they avariciously base their undertakings on the perishable concept of my and mine. As long as they do not take shelter of your safe lotus feet, they are full of such anxieties. So here, Lord Brahma's giving us the solution, right? Take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. It's in our age we're so limited, right? We don't have deep knowledge, we don't have deep realization, but we're given by these great souls an unworldly path to follow, to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. And he explains the benediction of becoming a devotee, and this is also a quote. Oh my Lord, your devotees can see you through the ears by the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts become cleansed, and you take your seat there. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you. So this is our opportunity, right? We do see the Lord, but not all that much. Whereas a great devotee, I was just listening to Indradunma Swami talking about Raghunath Das Goswami, and he would constantly chant and constantly talk about the Srimad-Bhagavatam. His love, his deity was the Srimad-Bhagavatam. And he was so deep. I mean, how many of us could like chant all day and just think about the Srimad-Bhagavatam or read, worship, glorify the Srimad-Bhagavatam? We're kind of like children. We're in the beginning of our devotional service. And we have the great fortune of hearing from these exalted souls. And some of them, like Radhanath Swami, for instance, and Indradumna Swami, some of these people, and they don't have to be a Swami to be a great soul. Some of the young people that are coming up in our midst are actually advanced personalities. You hear some of them give class and they're like, wow, where did they come from? You know, it's embarrassing sometimes. Okay, you're an older devotee, you've been around a long time, but you're just like feebly struggling along, trying to find Krishna, trying to realize and memorize and learn. But it's glorious at the same time. Being a child in Krishna consciousness, there's no problem and no fault with that. It's glorious. And we see so many people, the older devotees, a lot of them are departing now. And they're leaving in a glorious way, right? We're seeing one after another. It's like every day almost. So-and-so's left, so-and-so's left. And so we know, okay, my day is coming. And when you get older, it's a little more obvious that it could be any time. Like with my blood pressure this morning, I was thinking, oh my goodness, am I going to have a heart attack? Or it's like you can't help but think that way, especially when you get older, because everything kind of stops working well. So, so according to the age of this particular time, the Lord sends, any age, the Lord sends different processes, right? The Dwapara Yuga, you have the Treta Yuga, different processes. So Kali Yuga, here we are, the conditioned souls, we're in the base condition, we're in the winter of the creation. So Lord Brahma, he was like given a process, but there he was in the middle of nowhere on a lotus flower with no association. It's not like he had someone to go to class or someone to ask, hey, what do I do now? It was a fearful situation. But us, here we are, and what do we have? Krishna's given us, Srila Prabhupada, with a whole disciplic succession of great devotees. And not only that, Prabhupada has called other great devotees to come forward and pick up the mission of Lord Chaitanya and pass it out. So what do we have? We have hundreds of temples and preaching centers. There's restaurants, there's mega books. Prabhupada's books printed in so many different ways at so many different times with so many beautiful pictures. Books by his disciples, books by the disciples of his disciples. You go online and you see, you have ISKCON Desire Tree, you have YouTube, you have Facebook. There's all kinds of talks and discussions going on every topic about, if you want to know about the creation, if you want to know about the setup of the universe, what to eat, how to pray, you can find that. So Krishna's made it easy for his children, his little neophyte children that we've, like babies. Oh, here we are, what do? We chant Hare Krishna. So he's given us this whole setup of so many fathers and mothers and books and so much facility to give us that holding factor of staying in a place where we can always think of him and worship him and associate with him through so many different means. All right, we just feel so fortunate. So here, there's a verse. It's in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, the first canto. This Srimad-Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun, and it is arisen just after the departure of the Lord for his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in this age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So when Prabhupada came, there was no Bhagavatam for us in America. We'd never heard of Krishna, right? So there we were, and you hear the story from all the different devotees, just totally lost, not wanting to live, not having a reason to live, just so distraught that this age is so treacherous and so fearful. And then all of a sudden someone comes up to you and gives you a book, or you see something, or somehow or other Krishna mercifully and inexplicably connects you to this Bhagavad Purana and this process of devotion and these great souls, and all of a sudden you light up like a light bulb. It's like, wow, this is what I've been looking for. I need this light to dissipate the darkness that I've been surrounded by. So it says in the Krishna Lalita Stava by Sanat Goswami, and he writes all these different verses about the Bhagavatam specifically, right? He talks specifically how the Srimad-Bhagavatam is an incarnation of the Lord. And that's from these great souls, right? So we have Prabhupada's life work was the Srimad-Bhagavatam, right? He did the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which we're so fortunate that he did. But he's painstakingly translated, and he mercifully whipped his disciples to get the Srimad-Bhagavatam printed, right? He encouraged, but he also forced, he pushed, he wanted to get this done. And the paintings that glorify the Srimad-Bhagavatam, if you look on Google for Krishna art, guaranteed at least 80% of all the Krishna art is our ISKCON art. Prabhupada was such a special soul. He lit up the world of Krishna consciousness and attracted the world to be able to find a process to call the Lord to come within their heart and manifest and take them back home, back to Godhead. How rare is that? We have such a great mission. We're given a mission to be able to assist according to our ability, our way, whatever facility we're given. We're given a mission to be able to assist the Lord. And what higher benediction in life? What higher mission? It's a mission. All of a sudden, we've gone from being a fallen, bewildered, conditioned soul that's afraid and just trying to find something material to satisfy them, to being a person with a mission in life from the Lord to be able to uplift humanity and give them a way back to home, back to Godhead. And that's one of the reasons that Prabhupada did not emphasize taking care of the material body of the other living entities. He did set up food for life. He did say no one should go hungry within so many miles of Mayapur and such. And the devotees have carried that on and made the midday meals. They feed 1.5 million students every day. You know, they have done that. But Prabhupada was urging that we pick up the souls, because if we can help pick up the souls, then they can, in their turn, do whatever service they can do. And we see it's like snowball. They're like dominoes, just like, wow, there's so many people now. And they're doing such great things. This is the Srimad-Bhagavatam, this is a quote, is the sunam bonum of life. Lord Sri Krishna personified. We must therefore accept the Srimad-Bhagavatam as the direct representative of Lord Krishna. One who can see Srimad-Bhagavatam can see also Lord Krishna in person. They are identical. So what is our goal? All right, we have different stages of life. Most of us, we're in the beginning. We're neophyte devotees. We're come in contact with devotional service. And we're fortunate we've made progress. But what's the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is that love of God, right? And that's actually, for most of us, a distant reality. That's where we're running. We're running after Krishna. We're running after Prabhupada in the footsteps of the great souls. Like, Krishna, save us, save us. We're making progress. So, in the Madhya Lila in chapter 8, Lord Chaitanya has a conversation with Rai Ramananda. And it's actually quite an amazing conversation. Ramananda Roy is asked by Lord Chaitanya, recite a verse from the revealed scriptures concerning the ultimate goal of life. So Ramananda replies that one should perform his prescribed duties in the Varnashram system. And the Lord replied, that's external, go further. And Ramananda Roy quotes in the Bhagavad Gita, my dear son of Kunti, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, and whatever austerities you perform, as a result of such activities, should be offered to me, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord replied to Ramananda Roy, that's external, go further. Ramananda Roy said, to give up one's occupational activities in the Varnashram system is the essence of perfection. If one is able to give up his occupational duties and render service to the Lord, he is considered a first-class man. As stated in the scriptures, after giving up all kinds of religious and occupational duties, if one comes to me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and take shelter. I will give you protection from all life's sinful reactions. Do not worry. Chaitanya rejected and also told them to go further. Ramananda Roy stated some other verses from the Bhagavad Gita, and the Lord rejected them also. It's not that he was rejecting them. They were accepted. They're the absolute truth. They're spoken by Krishna. And they are a place where the devotee can make progress and find Krishna. But the Lord himself was telling Ramananda Roy, no, go further. There's more. There's more. And so Ramananda Roy continued. Lord Brahma said, my dear Lord, those devotees who have thrown away the impersonal conception of the absolute truth and have therefore abandoned discussing empiric philosophical truth should hear from self-realized devotees about your holy name, form, pastimes, and qualities. They should completely follow the principles of devotional service, remain free from illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and animal slaughter. Surrendering themselves fully with body, words, and mind, they can live in any ashram or social status. Indeed, you are conquered by such persons, although they are always unconquerable. The Lord told him to go further. It's a wonderful conversation. So Ramananda Roy says, pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activities in hundreds and thousands of lives, can be attained only by paying one price, that is, intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. Hearing up to this point of spontaneous love, the Lord said, that is all right, but if you know more, please tell me. So Ramananda Roy continued in a similar way, and the Lord said to go further. So in reply, Ramananda Roy said, loving service to Krishna, rendered in fraternity, is the highest perfection. Exalted personalities, after accumulating volumes of pious activities, are now playing with the Lord in friendship as cowherd boys. The Lord said, this statement is very good, but please proceed further. So Ramananda Roy went on to explain how fortunate was Nanda and Yasoda because they had Krishna as their son. The Lord said, your statements are certainly getting better and better, one after another, but surpassing all of them is another transcendental mellow, and you can speak of that as it is most sublime. So then Ramananda Roy said, he went on to glorify the gopis and the conjugal relationship with Krishna. In so many ways, he glorified that relationship. Complete attainment of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna is made possible by love of Godhead, specifically Madhurya Ras, or conjugal love. Lord Krishna is indeed captivated by this standard of love, as stated in the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna told the gopis, the means of attaining my favor is loving service unto me, and fortunately you have thus engaged. Those living beings who render service to me are eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world and attain eternal life of knowledge and bliss. Lord Chaitanya replied, this is certainly the limit of perfection, but please be merciful to me and speak more. So Ramananda Roy expressed his dismay, but he went on. And he said, among all loving affairs of the gopis, Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna is the topmost. Indeed, the glories of Srimati Radharani are highly esteemed in all revealed scriptures. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirmed these verses recited by Ramananda Roy, saying, this is the limit of the goal of human life. Only by your mercy have I come to understand this conclusion. So Lord Chaitanya says the goal of life cannot be achieved unless one practices the process. Now be merciful upon me. Please explain that means by which this goal can be attained. Ramananda Roy said, actually only by the gopis. Only the gopis have the right to appreciate this transcendental pastimes, and only from them can we learn these pastimes and how they can be expanded. Without the help of the gopis, one cannot enter into these pastimes. Only one who worships the Lord in the ecstasy of the gopis, follows in their footsteps, can engage in the service of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. Only then can we understand the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna. There is no other process. Ramananda Roy continues, those who are devoid of transcendental mellows are like the crows that suck the juice of the bitter fruits of the neem tree of knowledge, whereas those who enjoy mellows are like the cuckoos who eat the buds of the mango tree of love of God. Ramananda Roy concluded, the unfortunate empiric philosophers state the dry process of philosophical knowledge, whereas the devotees regularly drink the nectar of love of Krishna. Therefore, they are the most fortunate. So in this situation, what do we have? We've come into Kali Yuga. We have nothing. But with the advent of Lord Chaitanya, who did he bring with him? He brought the gopis from Vrindavan. He brought them in the form of the different Goswamis. And some of these other personalities, if you look at the history, which Indradyumna Swami is so kindly offering to us in his talks on Vrindavan, you see that all these great personalities, they're sitting right up there, the 6 Goswamis. These personalities are the gopis who have come down into the pastimes with Lord Chaitanya and are giving us our path of being able to follow this mellow of devotional service. Sure, we're not in the position yet. Sure, we're maybe even still struggling with the 4 regulative principles. But hey, we've been given the ticket, and we're using it. So we just, like they say, you just don't want to get off the boat, right? No matter what happens, and anything can happen in this life. Anyone can fall down into materialism. It's definitely not uncommon. But we've got the ticket. We've got the ride already. So if we just keep going, we fall down, we get up. We brush ourselves off. Okay, we feel bad, we pray, we apologize, but we keep going. And at some point, someday, some lifetime maybe not in this lifetime, we'll get to the point where we have the association of the Lord in our relationship with Him, the mercy that He's given us. So Srila Prabhupada's given us simple, basic things. Chant 16 rounds, which most people hopefully do. And if you don't, then you increase or you do your best. Follow the regulative principles. Associate with devotees, eat prasadam. Simple. Where you don't have to go down the stem of a lotus flower and look in the dark and try and figure it out. We've been given simple steps. So we enthusiastically, what is the word? Loyam. With enthusiasm, we go forward and we try not. Lord Chaitanya's simple teachings, be humble, devoid of all sense of prestige, ready to offer our respects to others. That's how we can learn to chant. We don't want to develop the seed of fault-finding or criticism, or you could sit and criticize everybody for thousands of years. We could criticize ourselves for more than that, because we see ourselves better than anyone else does. But what's the value? In that 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 minutes, we've wasted valuable time that we could be making progress to the goal of life. So we want to be careful not to put stumbling blocks in our own way. So, in conclusion, we offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. And we pray for the mercy of the great souls that we previously have association with. We pray for the mercy of the Srimad-Bhagavatam and the deities, and Srila Prabhupada, and the Lord Himself. So I think it's time for me to stop. If anyone has any additions or corrections, or please feel free. Hope I didn't put everyone to sleep.
Very inspiring.
Go ahead.
No, I don't have,
Thank you for the next class.
My little endeavor.
There's a word in here that I don't understand how Prabhupada is using it, why. The Sanskrit, the very first word, Anushita, Prabhupada translates as ingenuity. And in the verse, the highest professional ingenuity is the personal perception of my abodes. So when I looked at the, I'm wondering, how is this actually defined? So I pulled up the dictionary.
I did too. I pulled up the dictionary.
The definition, how it's defined, it just seems incongruous with how Prabhupada is using it. Inventive skill or imagination, cleverness, someone's ability to think of clever new ways of doing something. Ingenuity is the ability to think creatively about a situation or solve problems in a clever way, so like that. And then in the purport, near the end, the third to the last and second to the last sentences, Prabhupada said, he writes, the word manishita is significant. And then he goes on to say, everyone is falsely or factually proud of his so-called learning. I can't wrap my mind around how does this statement fit in with Prabhupada's translation of the word manishita and ingenuity, the English definition of the word ingenuity, and I forget who's speaking. The highest professional ingenuity is the personal perception of my abode. So it must be Krishna speaking.
It's Krishna speaking to Brahma.
So I'm a little bewildered by what Prabhupada is presenting here. Anybody have any insights?
I don't even know what it is. What is the definition of ingenuity?
Cleverness, being able to figure out something in a clever way.
That's the modern definition.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that previously the definition was different. That's what over time
Totally.
Sometimes the
Madhuri is
words
saying, here Madhuri, speaking to the
But let's see, whatever, 60 years ago or something,
Yeah.
what was the meaning of certain words, it changed the meaning.
Yeah.
Old definition of ingenuity. Let's see. Doesn't ingenuity have something to do with engineering? Being able to figure things out?
And that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
Inventive, it also says.
A clever new way of doing things, cleverness. Anyhow, it just seemed to me to be a somewhat odd, if that's an appropriate word, way of presenting it. I mean, I didn't get clarity from it. I got more confused, which is not a difficult thing for me to do.
So what is Prabhupada saying here in the word, that the word is significant?
It's significant. Everyone is falsely or factually proud of his so-called learning.
So it's like he's like, he must have a different meaning, because he's, what's the word?
Ingenuity. Well, I looked it up just now. Like, there's Latin versions and whatnot. That's all kind of the same thing. Like, Latin word means mind and intellect. Or the root of ingenuity, it takes a bright and fast-thinking intellect to use ingenuity in a situation. It's kind of all really the quality of being cleverly intentive or resourceful.
Well, Lord Brahma did that because he heard disembodied sound,
Right.
2 syllables,
And
pa
figured it
and pa. Put them together, understood the meaning of the combined syllables.
Cleverness is ingenuity.
So why are you
Yeah.
saying this is not, actually now I kind of get it. Why are you saying that this is not?
I'm saying I don't understand what Prabhupada is writing here.
That, see, to me, that's maybe what my problem is, that believing in your intellect and in your mind.
Well, no, we have to use our intelligence
not-
to try to
but-
understand, But Prabhupada, he writes here, the word Manishita is significant, and the very next sentence is everyone is falsely or factually proud of their so-called learning.
That's exactly that's what he was saying, expanding your definition. That you just, what's the word, there's certain yes, I'm intelligent, I can understand things. So from that sense it's significant that we cannot trust, we cannot.
No, you're because in the actual verse, Krishna is saying, the highest perfectional ingenuity is the personal perception of my abodes. So he's glorifying
that
it.
translation.
Yeah.
The highest perfection of ingenuity is personal perception of my above.
Okay.
Being able to put it together, piece it together and see it.
That's what he's doing.
Let me continue the verse. And this has been possible because of your submissive attitude and performance of severe penance according to my order. So that's the tapa, and he understood that, I need to do this. And he did it, and because Krishna was pleased by his submissive attitude and doing what he was, subtly instructed to do.
I think I kind of understand a little bit. Maybe I could be completely wrong, but what I'm getting from that is Krishna is glorifying the fact that he had the ingenuity to understand and intellect to understand that when he heard tapa, that I need to meditate.
Yeah.
And because of that, he rewarded him.
Yes.
So that's where the ingenuity part comes in.
You're right. And what did he reward him with?
The vision of the abodes.
Yeah.
He was able to see the abodes. So because of his ingenuity to understand that tapa means, okay, I need to sit down and focus and meditate.
Me too.
Submissively, just basically just give in. And he did that for so long, so that's why Krishna awarded him with the ability to see the abodes.
What do you think, Jayasri?
Well, that's how I had read it also. I didn't see any difficulty. And Prabhupada also prefaces it in his purport that Lord Brahma didn't have that false ego, that false prestige. So he was able to follow and please the Lord.
Right, his ingenuity in the old thing says mind and intellect. So he had his intellect to understand that, okay, tapa means I need to...
That's how I saw too, that he had the ability to be able to figure out that the Lord was telling him something and he knew what to do. Right. That's how I took ingenuity. He had that intelligence or ability. I actually also looked up the word, but to me it fit somehow or other.
And also, interesting.
Being clever, he was clever enough to understand that this is what I'm supposed to do. To me it was a simple and inventive, but not inventive like he invented something. Inventive means that he knew what to do and he did it. That he didn't have anyone to ask, so he invented the meditation, I guess.
Well, he assumed correctly.
Yeah.
I read or heard, I don't recall exactly where. I read or heard, I don't recall exactly where, that the reason that the Lord asked or instructed Lord Brahma to meditate was because he knew Lord Brahma, he liked meditating. So, okay, let's give him something he likes to do.
So if you like, so you're saying if you like something else, you would have him do that in order to obtain it? Maybe that's what I'm saying. I'm being serious. So if he liked to play a game, you'd say do this game until you.
Well, or chant.
Or chant. I'm being
right.
I don't know what the word is
But I found that interesting. That, because he liked doing a particular activity, the Lord said, okay, do this.
Well, he set it up in a certain way. He came out of a lotus flower and there he was. What else are you going to do? And he intuitively, that was his inclination. Actually, the story, I went back and I was trying to find when Lord Brahma appeared in the lotus flower. And I was looking specifically for when the Lord, he heard the tapa, and it wasn't where I was looking. I went through the whole thing, and there was no, it just said that he sat and meditated, because that's what I had read. And I was thinking, well, where it says that he heard tapa. But it wasn't in the section that I was reading. So we see the same story at different times, related not only by Prabhupada at different times in the Bhagavatam, but in the Bhagavatam itself. And then you hear from all, what we have is kind of like a lotus flower. We think, oh, I've got these little petals, we've got the temple, we've got this little bit of learning. Okay, I know everything. And then you go a little farther and there's like a whole other set of petals, and it's like, oh, okay, well now this means that, and everything expands, and then you go a little farther, and then you're kind of bewildered, like Lord Brahma. It's like, well, wait, I thought it was like that. No, there's actually different universes, and Krishna's talking to different people, and that happened when I was in Florida in Alachua. It was like someone said something about Lord Brahma or Narada Muni, and it was like, wait a minute. I remember reading, it was like this, but he's saying, so, I had to ask. And there was a whole other conversation, like a whole other pastime that happened in like another universe. And so it's like the more you kind of expand, you get like, whoa, there's so much more. And then you start feeling like, instead of going, I am so knowledgeable, you're going like, whoa, I don't know anything. And then you get a little farther and you hear from other people and different versions of the stories, and you're going, wow, I really don't know anything at all. It's like embarrassing sometimes. And then you see why Prabhupada and I heard it from Indraduna Swami this morning, heard it from Radhanath Maharaj not too long ago. And Prabhupada, don't waste time. Time is the one thing that we have that we can't get back. And if we spend hours doing whatever, oh, it's only like doing this, this, and this, I can do this, I can listen to this music, or I can do this and this. I mean, it's okay, it's not like it's a sinful activity or something, but it's a waste of time. And then you get to old age and you think, oh, wait a minute, I haven't really gotten too far yet. And you're thinking, wow, I really wasted a lot of time. But then it's time to go on, and I guess that's why Krishna is merciful. We die and we go on.
I'm just going to make this is not a serious comment, but I guess
Hold on, Mike, please.
He's got it in his
I guess
hand.
this is kind of like I mean, in the end of the day, I know you're talking about wasting. I know at the end of the day you're talking about wasting time, but I mean, you could have 7 days. And be okay.
Right.
I'm just making a joke.
No.
I'm kind of like saying that I know wasting time. We don't want to waste time at all. But in the case of Maharaj Krishna, he basically had 7 days and did it all in that 7 days. So
right.
I guess what I'm saying is, even if you do, like for me, example, I've wasted a lot of time, but I'm not going to hold that against myself because of this. I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm just saying that if it really came down to it, and I knew I was going to die in 7 days, I could hope and pray that I could figure it out.
Right, but Prabhupada, it kind of discourages us waiting to the last gasp.
Well, of course. I'm not saying to wait to the last gasp.
I
I'm
already
just...
got the message. I'm telling you, people are coming to me and telling me they cannot.
Okay, I guess I'm just basically saying that if life took you on a path where that's what happened to you, it'd be okay, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have a choice,
Right.
but and their comments aren't to put us in anxiety or make us beat ourselves up because we wasted time. They're just to inspire us that, hey, don't forget, keep that in your day, to hear and chant. I mean, we're at the temple. We're fortunate. We come to the temple, we chant, we're not wasting a lot of time.
Right, absolutely, and I completely agree. I'm just saying that for me, I waste a lot of time, so I try not to think about that part.
You're still young, you're
Shilavati has something to say.
I think Vision John and took me to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said he was sitting behind the desk upstairs. And he said, do you know what spirit is? And I said, no, what is it? He said, it's love. And I want you to remember this. This is the most important thing that I can ever say to you or to anybody else. The spirit is love.
Prabhupada definitely had his way of emphasizing and bringing into your purview the reality of what we're doing here and what we're looking for. When you walked into Prabhupada's presence, even if you didn't know anything, when I met Prabhupada, I hadn't met the devotees before, there was no temples, it was just Srila Prabhupada. But when you walked into his presence, there was absolutely no doubt that he was that God was there and that he was a representative of God. So that was Prabhupada's ability and who he was. All right, 9 o'clock.
I just want to say,
Please.
I appreciate the fact that it's so good. I mean, the point you made that it's Krishna really is making easy for us. We just make it difficult. It's our mind. It's really, it's like that we have everything, and still sometimes it is. I'm talking to myself. I do not take full advantage.
Right.
Pathetic.
I don't agree with that statement. Well, I don't agree with that statement. Well, I don't agree with the statement. Your conclusion might be right, but I don't agree with the statement that because Prabhupada has also said
Which statement?
that we have everything in the sense that it should be easy for us. Prabhupada
And just
said
for our
that-
listeners, this is the husband of Madhuri who just spoke. So we're going to see their marital situation.
That's good. That was a good one.
Prabhupada says that, in this age of Kali, he quotes a verse from the very beginning of Bhagavatam about the bad qualities of Kali Yuga. People are short-lived, they have bad memories, we're always disturbed.
Unlucky.
That is the fourth one, I don't know.
Unlucky.
Unlucky, yeah, bad memories.
Lazy.
Lazy, yeah.
Unlucky.
So that's on the one hand.
Right.
On another side, we have the material energy, which is always poking us. Adhyasmika, Adhibhaukika, Adhidaivaga, always just poking. And at the same time, he mentioned a third category, which I forget, but the common substance is that, no, it's not easy for us. Because of our bad qualifications or misqualifications, our sense of pride, the influence of the age of Kali, the influence of material energy, it's not easy for us. So don't be hard on yourself.
To reconcile it.
The wife is now speaking.
The process is easy. The application is difficult.
Yeah.
The process is simple.
The process is simple.
Maybe not easy for us because we are the babies.
If we just hear, as you said, just chant, eat prasadam, do some service, on one level, if you just look from that perspective, but that application.
Yes. Because we're so complicated and we're so contaminated and
The influence of most of us.
sometimes.
Prabhupada also gives the analogy. Prabhupada also gives the analogy of the process is like riding on an elevator. And he uses the term scientific process repeatedly. Process of Krishna consciousness is a scientific process. And he alluded to that in today's report. So it's like, okay, we get on the process of Krishna consciousness and we just stay on it because it's scientific. It's guaranteed that we'll get by the functioning of the elevator. It's guaranteed we're going to get to the top floor.
She was making that point, Mother Jayasri.
But our our misfortune is that we're so restless, we're attracted by, the different things in the different floors, it's like an elevator with a glass door, and as you go up, you see all these different things. What is that? What is this? We're just, impatient and not really understanding what the actual goal is, what we'll achieve if we simply stay on the elevator in the process of Krishna consciousness. So yeah, the process might be easy. We simply stay on the elevator, but we're so restless and we're so disturbed. It's just like little kids in a candy store. But that
Kids in a candy store.
yeah, kids in a candy store.
Let me get a piece of candy.
Okay, I have to go.
Haribo.
Bhagavatam, Ki.
Jai.
Okay.
Thanks to Prabhupada.
Jai.
All right.